Hi, everybody. So we actually have several folks from the Imperva design team on. I would love it if, for those that can, just share your videos from the product design team and just say hi to everybody. Love the community, and we're really delighted to be here today. And in fact, there's more than just Lior and I just chatting today. We're joined by Eka, and Eka is going to be walking through and working with Lior and describing what we built and what we've done as a company. I wanted to start by saying, for me personally, product and product design is just near and dear to my heart. I actually got started in this industry years and years and years ago. Because I was just so enamored in the 90s with like building interfaces and building user interfaces. And when the web first came out, I was that person who was tinkering in HTML, learning about iframes, and yes, the blink tag all the way back then. And then when I got my first version of Photoshop, that's when I first started like actually learning how to build, like taking these really complex looking things and trying to figure out how to translate them into the web. Fast forward now to 2020, and the web just looks different. Mobile exists now. Design patterns have fundamentally changed. UI and UX has evolved to a really interesting place. And specifically what we're finding now is, with respect to the way that enterprises are looking and presenting themselves to customers, it's just evolved. It's reached a new level of advancement. It's reached a new level of how we think about things like usability. And what we'd love to do, and between Eka and Lior, they are the experts, and I know I see Sharon, I see Slilan as well. I would love it if, between Lior and Eka, if one of you could bring up the presentation. The way we wanted to structure this today, and what I love about the community and what I love about doing this is we get to give you insight about how we actually build things and how we think about doing things at Imperva. And this is like one of the few opportunities that we have as a company to really just let you behind the curtain, show you how we think about things and what we've learned in the process. It allows us to really show you that we're human beings too, and how we think about solving problems and how we're learning from you. And what we'd love to do is sort of present at a very high level what we're doing and framing it all up around what we call universe, this project universe. So what is project universe? We're going to unpack that. We're going to cover lots of things. But before we go a little bit deeper, I think it would make perfect and wonderful sense for both Lior and Eka to introduce themselves to you all. You've probably not met them before. So Lior, Eka, please introduce yourselves to the community.
Thank you, Kunal. I will let Eka start, if it is okay. Eka,
yes, of course. Hi, everyone. My name is Eka. I joined Imperva 5 months ago, and this is a very important step in my life. And like Kunal said, he was obsessed all the time with technology and with the design. So me too as well. I love this world. I love to design and to create and to solve problems. And I'm very excited to share with you the experience we go through building the universe.
Thank you, Eka. Lior?
Great. Yes, so I'm Lior Atzmon. I'm the head of the product design. I joined the Imperva about 6 years ago. It was actually, I started at Incapsula. We were a group of 50 people. We were monitoring the amount of customers that we have and the amount of websites that are on the service. I do remember that I started, we were about 20,000 websites on the service, and we made a big celebration when we came to 100,000 websites on the service. And since then, we made a lot of progress. Also, customers change a lot of the environment, and what we see today actually is the evolution of Imperva and also our customers. And I'm looking forward to see how we're going to show it today.
I love it. I mean, Lior, to just sort of start, the way you just started that part was brilliant in terms of talking about the journey that you've had. You've been at Incapsula when it was a tiny, tiny startup, right? And you saw it grow, and now obviously being a huge part of what we do at Imperva. one thing that I think that would be really useful is, what was design like? How did you approach product and product design at that small stage versus, contrasting that and comparing that to where we are today with respect to product design? What's that journey been like?
Yeah, so looking back on what we did, so we made some very strategic decision at start. We wanted to create a customer-centric environment at Imperva, and in order to do that, we focused mainly on educating the engineers, and we started building a department of design within the R&D group. And our main focus was to educate everybody that UX and design are part of the process. And obviously, the ratio between designers and engineers were high, and we didn't have the capacity to handle everything. So this kind of a decision that we took at the beginning made us very productive, and we took all the engineering with us. Everybody was onboarded. Everybody agreed what are the principles that we need to tackle. And actually, this is how we started to build the culture in customer centric at Imperva. Before that, it was a mess. I can remember the few design reviews that I participated at the beginning, and everybody made feedbacks after the code was already written. And every time we needed to do changes, it was so exhausting, and people were so unhappy to make changes. And we started actually building prototypes and doing design review, and it makes a lot of the steps very easier to develop along the way.
Can you give us can you give a sense of, for those who are from the outside that know very little about how the team is structured and how it works? Can you share how you've structured the product design team and the design team in general? Like, how is the team organized, and how are you thinking about projects? How do you think about bringing that customer obsession? I see Eka's background. How do you bring that customer obsession across the different teams, across the different stakeholders? How are you doing that today?
We structure our team in the framework of guilds and gangs. All the product design team are part of the guild of product design. This is where we critique ourselves, we review the work that we are working, and every single designer has another a gang or project that he's working on. It's a combination of engineers, PMs, product managers that are building the product with him. So we have like a team of teams. Every designer is a part of the design team and also part of the project teams. And this is the basic of how we arrange everything. Inside of the product design, we have processes to make sure that the research and the usability are being injected into the project at the early stages. We do so by providing prototyping and wireframes to our customers, also to product manager, to actually be able to get feedbacks on everything before we are coding. And basically, it's a game of anticipation. We anticipate what customers would love to see, what they need to use on the day-to-day. And by prototyping in different phases, we are increasing the likelihood that the anticipation will be right, that we are taking the right decisions.
I love it. And what you said is something we're going to dive into when I'm basically asking you guys the questions, is research. We talk about research, and you and I have had so many conversations about why research is so important. I think today we we've seen research become such an important part of thinking through UI, UX patterns. And a lot of people sort of just think that doing design is sitting in a tool and exporting something and then throwing it over the wall to have someone implement. It is far from that, right? It's so far away from that process. And it's just part of that evolution, right? It's part of the evolution. Maybe 20, 30 years ago, that's what it looked like, right? Of just using like a Photoshop or whatever to export some interface and stitch it together, but that's it. Today, there's so much more sophistication that we have and that we use, right? It's not just the fact that we build something and we throw it over the wall. It's the fact that we take the time, that we talk to customers, we talk to and get their feedback, and we learn from it. And of course, there's bets and there's guesses that we want to make. There's things based on the way that people are using the product that they may not know about, a better way to do it or a better way to interact with us. So the sort of boundaries of what people want versus how we want to improve their lives, how we want to improve their workflows. And we'll touch on that obviously in this presentation. But if one of you could just bring up the slides, I'd appreciate it, because I think what we should do is start by explaining what Universe actually is. Like, what is the problem that we are trying to solve for? And I'll turn it over to you guys, and maybe you can explain at a very high level what the issue was, what our customers have been talking to us about, and what were we out to solve with Universe.
Yeah, so as we mentioned before, the journey started 15 years ago when the service actually started onboarding customers. Every customer has its own world. The world was combination of websites and different similar assets. And this is how customers saw their assets, and this is how we perceived what customer needs. So it was websites that need WAF protection. Also, increasingly with the internet, the need for CDN raise, and we continually to invest with security, also the performance, and Incapsula made a lot of sense in protecting and making things faster on the edge. A few years later, we saw evaluation differently, and we saw that many of our customers has more than one website. We started to see an account with multiple website. It was even 1,000, maybe a couple of hundred websites. And the features that we developed was accordingly. So at the beginning, when the customer has a website, he needs to protect. So we provide out-of-the-box solution, and there is also specific capabilities to build. It was called the Incap rules, but those are the security rules that customers can manually enter the system. And as we saw more and more websites going into the system, we kind of look at it like a galaxy. So if a star is a website, so lots of stars is a galaxy. And we saw that
as a space nerd, I love this. As a fellow space nerd, I love the metaphor. Keep going.
And we saw that the need for providing security is not ending with security, because lots of noise coming from all the stars, all the website, all the events, visitors are the system are generating lots of events, and it's very hard to focus. And that's why we developed a system named Attack Analytics. Maybe most of you are familiar with. This system aim to clear the noise, focus on the attack and not on specific event. So instead of looking on every particular event, we can see a whole attack and all the events correlated from all assets for all websites within this view. Also, recently, we found out that it's not enough because when you have more than 100 of websites, the problems are being differently. So there is a problem to manage a lot of websites. So noise is also a problem, but managing and getting visibility into the system, this is a different problem that we see. So maybe we have customers that started using our service, and he onboard members and teams to the account, and they are also protecting their assets as a business units. And the admin start seeing stuff that is not familiar, so everybody start entering assets to the system. So the focus now is to get visibility, what's going on, what are the changes that are being made. And it's not only about security, it's about change management. And that's why we initially thought about we need to find a solution that will hold more than what we had previously. So what we did, we started a conversation with some of the customers. We started mainly the research phase, understanding what are the needs, what are the pain points with every customer. And this leads us to particular personas that we would like to go further and ask them a bit more questions. So we provided a questionnaire and stated the question that we would like to ask and all the assumptions that we had at the beginning. This took us to a design and a validation phases. And before we continue, the last part is actually doing implementation and get actual feedbacks on real environment. This is where you put all the efforts at the end. This is very important phase because it's not the end. It's never end in implementation. This is only a start because this is where the difficulty started.
Leo, if you go back one slide, you could actually argue that the line from implementation, you could kind of circle it back to research, right? It's the idea of like just because you're done doesn't mean, or because you implemented it doesn't mean you're done, right? To the point that you just said, the fact that like we created it, now we put it back out there and we research it some more and we get more feedback on it and we continue iterating, we continue evolving.
Yeah, exactly. This is a circle, and we have lots of ideas how to test all the assumptions, and those are the phases. Continually to what we discovered. I think I will pass now to Eka because she was the lead designer right after we started the research. So Eka, please go ahead.
Yes, can I do a share, please?
Yes.
Okay. So as Lior said, there was a research, interviews, design, validation, and implementation. And as Kunal said that he wants to open the curtain, so I just want to say that it's not only about methodology that what you see here, it's a lot of feeling, a lot of excitement, and a lot of adventure in this process. For example, in research, you never know where it will lead you, what you're going to discover, and what is the treasure in the end. In the interviews, you get to know people, you get to know what they think or how they think, and this is very interesting. In design, you need to find balance between the science of design and the art language of design. In validation, also, you can participate with a lot of highly professional people like customer support and product owners and our own team of designers that helped a lot during this process, and totally they gave their impact and value. And implementation, like Kunal said, we are still in this process, and it's dynamic and very agile. So what did we discover during the phases that we showed before, we discovered the need for overall visibility within the system that should provide Imperva customers with option to see the changes and to be able to manage their products and services from one place. Also, we discovered that since the dashboard we have till now was only on the asset level, we found that users gather data through APIs in order to get more information that they needed. Also, we discovered the need for a single dashboard, kind of one-stop reporting shop that will provide Imperva customers with a single pane of glass to see information aggregated from each sensors and services on an account level. Also, we've seen a pattern that, of course, one of the most interesting things that they would like to see they would like to see the most important top attacked assets and highlights aggregated from different sensors in the system. Also, we understood and noticed that it would be very effective for our customers to have systems overall posture reports that can highlight the ROI of using Imperva services, and also to help our customers quickly learn the account's overall status and to see most important KPIs and to identify what requires their attention and what tactical decisions they should make. And also, last but not least, we identified the need in controlled notifications for the most important events that are happening in the system. So now I want to sum up the assumptions and validations of ours after the things that I just noticed before. That in order to find the problem, users need to go over hundreds of sites one by one, and this can be very stressful. To understand the overall status, users need to sum statistics manually, which is a very time-consuming process and may lead to mistakes. Also, there is a complication in identifying specific problems to analyze them, and when trying to resolve, user need to pass multiple areas in the system in order to get to his goal. And also a long resolution time for issue. We're still validating this assumption, but we think that there is too much clicks in order to reach the goal. So also we want to share with you our aha moment that we encountered during our process of design. We were very concentrated on all the abilities that Imperva gives. So it made us, it put us in the stage where we thought that the most important thing that users want to see are the value that every sensor gives. And when I say it, I'm talking about the version 1, the first version that we made. And this version was built from showing our users assets, WAF metrics and statistics and insights, DDoS metrics, statistics and insights, bot management, attack analytics, CDN, and audit log. And what aha moment we had when, after a lot of brainstorming and validations and ideas and whiteboards and a lot of different methods, we find out that actually it could be much more interesting for our users to see it in a different way. And we really, when we showed it to users, when we did focus on assets and then whole block that is dedicated only to the security, and then the next block that dedicated only from performance, despite the sensor where this information comes from, and then extra block for configuration and also traffic. And we were very excited and pleased to see that actually this is what our users wanted to have, and this made this would make their work much more efficient, and not from the first version that we've made.
Okay, I got a question for you. Just if you go back to the previous one,
yes,
because I don't even know the story.
yes.
How did the team arrive at the aha moment? Maybe you could share, like, what was the point where the team came up with version 2 and it just felt right? Like, walk me through and walk all of us through that. Like, how did you know that it felt right?
Actually, we started to run with the version 1, and we started to show it to product owners and to teammates and to all of the people who are working in this project. And everybody just seems to go with it because this was the most obvious thing to be, to show, and to happen. And then there was one person, and actually, what can I say? It was Kunal, that he asked some question, and then this question made us to turn our point of view and to think about different grouping, and maybe to think about extra options for the information that we show. And then we just opened the new board. You can call it whiteboard with the markers online, obviously. And we started to look at what we've done and to take information from the blocks that I showed, WAF, bot, attack analytics, CDA, and audit log, and try to clutter it and group it in other additional grouping. And then we've seen something that we have never thought about it, and I don't think that anybody thought about it before. And this was totally a aha moment. And this is very interesting because when everybody saw version 2, they thought how we didn't thought about it before. So it was amazing.
And you touch on another point there that I think maybe, look, we're all going through this pandemic. We call it pandemic as a forcing function. I had to present recently, and that's what I framed it as. It's a forcing function in that we've all had to change the way that we work. And you just talked about how, it's not a digital physical whiteboard, it's a virtual one. Can you talk to us about the way that the team has evolved, how the team has been working? I mean, we're talking about a holistic change in the way that people look at and they experience everything that we have. How did the team work together during this pandemic with everyone work from home? I mean, this is one of the most insane things in the world, right? Getting to redesign quite literally the management console, what everyone sees and experiences. So maybe you could walk us through the tools, the processes, the methodology that the team implemented to be successful here.
Of course, I will be very excited to share it. And I will start with the point that actually I got this job through Zoom. That sounds insane too. And I couldn't believe before that it could happen. And I passed whole onboarding process online. And I actually really couldn't believe that it's possible, and it's really worked. So then we started to work on the project, and actually Lior, he pushed a lot of power in order to make time and to challenge us to think, how can we make our job more efficient? And then there was a work of all the teammates, and Adar would talk about Figma, and he would push it without end, and he would insist and explain how important it is. And then there was a share that would read online and would learn from other big companies how other companies act and what do they do. And all other teammates would say about debugging DAG and a lot of different methods. And it's actually work, and we are on the way to make it more and more efficient. And I believe that soon other companies would be able to learn from us how to work from home and to make it digitally.
Understood. No, I appreciate that. And I think the team really, and admires, when I say the team, everyone at Imperva admires the work that the product design team has accomplished right in this pandemic. And I know there's some questions that are stacking up. So I see some stuff from CJ. When will version 2 be released? I mean, first question that you see. And then the follow-up being, because we now need to eliminate missed blocks and need to investigate both WAF and ABP. So how about, CJ, we're going to answer that question for you, but I would love it if we could just show more of it, and then we'll wrap it up with sharing dates and when all this stuff is going to hit. Is that okay with you? Perfect. Thank you. All right. Please keep going.
Yeah, just to add one point to what Eka mentioned. We are a product design team, but we are actually obsessed with measuring ourselves. This is something that we do all the time. We use the objective and key result framework that is commonly used. We use it for the team. We use it individually. We also use it, some of us use it for personal use, but we are setting goals to everything that we are doing as a team. If we need to work from home. So this is the objective. We are setting an objective how to make the best of working from home, and we are putting ourselves key results that we need to answer and measure, and also initiative. And those are the dots that Eka mentioned before. Those are all initiative and key results in the process that we are doing. This goes to how we manage the team. Goes to how we manage the project, and hopefully this will bring us to measure our success in the project as well.
I love what you just said, Lior. And when we started working together, so for those that don't know, Lior and I, and the entire design team, we work closely together. And when I started working with Lior, and he shared with me his style of tracking, and not just tracking, but how he has implemented things like OKRs. And for those that don't know, objectives and key results, a great resource to go check out is whatmatters.com. There's a great book by John Doerr, and it really is a principle that was applied at some phenomenal organizations. Some of the biggest organizations on this planet have implemented OKRs. But the one little tidbit I'll share with everybody in Lior, not to put you on the spot at all, but the way that you think about objectives and key results is just amazing, because the first time we started working together and I got to see, the fact that you are managing those OKRs in things like Google Sheets, and just how organized and how detailed all of that is. It's truly interesting. And if we have time, maybe there's elements that we could maybe in a redacted version share, or if there's a follow-up to this, maybe there's more. If people are interested in this process, and please jump in the chat and let us know if you find this process-oriented discussion that we're having when we talk about the work interesting. And if you do find it interesting, we're happy to show you more and talk more about this. Process is very important for us, and it's a continuously evolving thing that we invest in at Imperva. So with that, I know there's a lot more stuff we want to get to. Eka, please keep going and get us back on track.
Okay, so actually this was one of the last stages when we understood that this is the grid that we want to show to our users. And now we will show you a movie that will show you the sneak peek of the project that we worked on. And I just want to say again that this is the dashboard with the information that aggregated from each sensor and service on an account level. And this, we think and we want that it will help for our users to see a bigger picture at a glance. And we have a very high motivation to help customers quickly learn the account's overall status and to see most important KPIs and to identify what requires their attention and hopefully to make their daily job easier and faster. So also, I just want to add again that what you're going to see is the job of all team working together, all Gilda and gang, all the PMs and all the team designers from the team, and everybody has impact in this project. So now I will show you the movie. I just don't know if I have shared the sound. Wait for a second. Share computer sound. Okay. Okay, do you see my screen?
Yes.
Do you hear it?
Hi, I'm Atlas, Imperva's service designer, and I'd like to share the new home experience we are working on. Our goal is to build a one-stop shop with all essential information, aggregated from each sensor and service on an account level. The motivation here is to help customers quickly learn and comprehend the account's overall status, and identify what requires their attention and what tactical decisions they should make while investigating security or operational incidents. Meet Mark. Mark is a security engineer at one of the financial services. As part of his daily routine, he needs to review his company's general security status and assets condition to decide what needs further investigation and what requires his attention. In addition, every quarter, Mark needs to share an overview report with his manager. The report contains a security overview of all protected assets and information to show the return of investments. Mark's plan is to log into the Imperva console, then quickly export all the relevant data and send it to his manager. Today is Mark's wife's birthday, so he should get things done to make it in time for the party. However, to get things done, he needs to view the most critical information first. Mark needs to go through 100 websites to find suspicious behavior and switch between multiple dashboards to conclude. Moreover, to create the report, Mark needs to sum statistics manually. Now, Mark realizes that he will not make it to the party on time. Such a shame. Mark, we got your back. We designed a new home for Imperva, a one-stop shop that will significantly improve visibility of data and will help you understand the bigger picture at a glance. The investigation is now easier and faster. The dashboard will show the top highlights and provide an easy way to dive into other parts of the product. Also, within this dashboard, customers can download reports. The reports have detailed information and will help to identify potential points of optimization. Now, let's have a short walkthrough of the new screen. I'm going to go through each section of the home page. On the top, he sees the number of assets like the number of websites and protected ranges and can easily navigate to see those assets and details about them. Moving on to the security section. This section shows Mark the total number of security events from each service, WAF events, bot attacks, and the number of DDoS attacks. Also, there is a number of incidents discovered by attack analytics. Mark can clearly see what is the distribution for alerted versus blocked for each of those metrics. And he can also see the correlation between events on the graph and a list of top 5 websites with the highest number of attacks. By clicking on one of the sites, Mark will be redirected to the website's security dashboard. If Mark spots anything that requires his attention, he can navigate to a dedicated dashboard by clicking on each metric's link. For example, if he wants to check all security events, a drill down for this metric will take Mark to the events screen to further investigation. Next section shows Mark metrics that can indicate an overall performance status of assets, number of total requests, number of requests with errors, cached requests, cached bandwidth, blocked bandwidth, and accumulated saved bandwidth. Mark can see the average time response correlated with the number of error requests and their types within the graph. We can see the top cached websites on the right side and sort them from high to low and opposite. Similar to security, Mark can navigate to the performance dashboard for a detailed view. The next type of information Mark needs to explore is the website configuration. Here he may see the configuration status of all websites. For example, how many websites don't have DNS records pointed to DNS records provided by Imperva? Websites that their DDoS threshold is set incorrectly. Websites that don't have all WAF settings set to block. And also how many origin servers are accepting HTTP or HTTPS traffic from IPs that do not belong to Imperva's public IP ranges. Mark can also see if there are any SSL certificates that are going to expire. And of course, when Mark wants to check those specific settings by clicking on one of them, he will see the full list of websites. Mark can see how many data centers are active or not. In addition, he can see how many IPs and ranges connections are up or down. And to see which exact IPs or ranges are down or up, Mark can also check what were the most common configuration events in a chosen time period. He can see events grouped to website configuration, network configuration, API, key change, and user management. Next, Mark can check the traffic data. He can see the total website traffic distributed to humans and bots. To see the account's accumulated bandwidth and its distribution, he can also view total and trends for hits and bits per second and the top websites by traffic. On the map, he can see a distribution of visits by country and also the data center's latency. On the network side, he can see total peaks by gigabyte per second and packets per second distributed to passed and blocked, and a list of top ranges by traffic. Lastly, by clicking on one of the items on the list, Mark will get extended information. Also, Mark can view more information about subaccounts. And when clicking on the row, Mark will be redirected to the list of websites that belongs to this subaccount. Lastly, he can download a report that will include account data about security, performance, traffic, and configuration, and send it to the board. On the right side, he can see notifications about most important events in the system like live attacks, SSL certificate that is going to expire, attack analytics insight, and more. And in one click, he can navigate to get more information about each of those items. To conclude, by giving Mark a one-stop place to start, we provide him a quick way to identify and to understand what requires his attention. Furthermore, we provide Mark with the tools to determine what needs to dive in for further investigation. With reports that sum up the data, we save time and allow Mark to do better at his job and make it to the party in time. This sums up this short demo. Please feel free to contact us if you have any questions or comments. Thank you.
So, what do you all think? Feel free to come off of mute or feel free to jump in the chat. I see some questions queuing up. What do you
Yeah,
all think?
this is great. So just to understand, this is what we're going to see in version 2 of the Cloud WAF, right? Or is it just going to be like in the attack analytics section of the Cloud WAF? Is that correct? Or am I?
Um, let me answer. So, attack analytic is a part of the home. It's the subset of the security posture. So, attack analytic provide home with amount of incidents by event alerted or blocked, and also provide the home with insights regarding configurations that are discovered. Furthermore, the home adds analytics from all services, not only from CloudWAF. We integrated the CDN sensor that will report degradation or increase in latency. We also integrate the DDoS solution on the network, also the applicative side, DNS security as well. All the sensors are providing the home with the relevant analytics, and we are grouping them by security, performance, and traffic. Attack analytic is a part of the application security, and it will remain as is today.
Okay, thank you very much.
So a question that came up a while ago, and I see some more queuing up, but one that happened before we showed the sneak peek was, when is this going to be available? And so Lior, when will customers first get their hands on what we're doing with Universe and with the new look and feel?
Yes, so we are starting a gradual rollout in January for beta customers. Those are customers that are the ones that we contact before. Also, we are recruiting more beta customers. Those customers will be getting personal service from us, from the PM and from the engineers along the way. Because while we introduce the new home experience, we're going to introduce more changes in the console. We are changing the navigation as well. No more will be a side navigation with all Imperva portfolio arranged randomly. It will be grouped by application security, edge, and data security. Under each category, all the services will be aligned. That's why the gradual rollout will be in phases. And as I mentioned, we are starting in January, and it will take us a couple of months to onboard everyone.
And for those that want to be part of that, as Lior mentioned, for those that, I know CJ, you were curious about it, if you'd like to be a beta and like to be on the beta and experience this, please reach out. And we'd be delighted to work with you and anyone else on this call today or in this community webinar. Really, your feedback is going to be instrumental. As Lior and Eka mentioned, we worked with our biggest CloudWAF customers to get to this point, and not just CloudWAF. We talked to all of our biggest customers today that are using our products and capabilities, and to the point that Eka and Lior brought up at the very beginning of the presentation, when Encapsula first was conceived of years and years and years ago, the biggest organization that was using us was maybe on a few websites, a few assets. And then over time, it evolved, and it's not uncommon for us to work with large organizations today that have tens of thousands of websites. I'll repeat that again. Some of our customers have tens of thousands of websites, and these are not partners or resellers. These are actual organizations that have those number of assets. And so how can we evolve the way that we think? How can we change the way that we present all this information to them? And inside the sneak peek that you saw in that video, there's two things. One is obviously you saw a universe. You saw how easy it is. We're trying to make it so it can be the one-stop shop that aggregates information from all the different sensors. And then the second part is, as Leo mentioned, there's a new look and feel that's coming with this. And it's a look and feel that is going to extend not just from within Universe, but throughout the overall product. And so for those that want to be on the beta, for those that want to come in and see what we're doing, you basically be exposed to what we're doing with Universe, how it's going to aggregate and collect all that information. And at the same time, you'll be exposed to the new look and feel, the new way of navigating, the new way of actually using the overall management console that we have today. So again, a lot in that sneak peek, and we'd be delighted if anyone would like to join us on the journey and be part of that early batch to jump in and check it out. See from Chris Richardson, I have several multinational clients that is implementing CloudWAF, so I definitely want to be able to learn to use. Awesome. So we'll get the information, Chris, and we'll be in touch with you, and would love to get you and anyone else's feedback on that side. And Robert as well. Yes, I agree. Awesome. So from Glenn to everyone, this appears to be changing the current attack analytics presentation from current to new. Do you have any presentation that shows the differences between what is existing and what will be the presentation? What will be the new presentation? Yeah.
Yeah. So in Attack Analytic, we are only rebranding. We are not changing the components within. So Attack Analytic will provide key incidents grouped by severity. Of course, we are improving it along the way, but we are not changing it. We are adding new insights, new type of insights. Those will be can be reviewed in Attack Analytic. We are also integrating or adding possibility to take Attack Analytics in mobile. So our mobile application is integrated with Attack Analytics. So every customer that has an account can download the iOS version now, and soon also the Android version. So Attack Analytics can be in your mobile phone as well. So no big changes in Attack Analytics, but minor improvements of UI.
The mobile phone, the mobile version of Attack Analytics is an important thing that we should talk a little bit about, because what we've heard, the feedback from our customers was they typically, when they're on the go, they're not looking to make configuration changes or policy changes from their cell phone, right? That's not something that they have ever wanted to do, but they want to be able to look at, from an overview, what's going on with the overall system. They want to be able to see what exactly is happening. And the key feedback that we heard from people was Attack Analytics surfaces a lot of valuable information for folks. They want to be able to be alerted in real time when that's happening. And the benefit of having a mobile application is we have this unique ability now to do push notifications. And so when Attack Analytics is seeing something rather interesting that you should be alerted about, if you enable things like notifications, you'll be prompted. And so when, let's say there's an increase of DDoS, or if there's an increased bot attack that we see, or if you've got lots of SQL injection attempts coming at your applications, we'll collect all that information, we'll create an insight, and then we'll push that insight automatically to your devices. So this way you won't be out of the loop ever, and you won't miss out on anything interesting that we're detecting. So really simplifying and shortening that time to see what it is that we're doing as an overall system. Let's see.
Yes, Kunal. Furthermore, just one point to mobile. The home is designed according to be mobile ready. So every customer will log into the system, will get a perfect dashboard on the mobile. So even though all the screens are not adapted to mobile, the home actually will be adapted to the mobile. And from day one, every customer can have the home experience also in mobile, also on desktop, regardless.
Leo, quick question. When you say mobile, do you mean an app, or do you just mean mobile specifically? So can we just be clear on that piece?
Yeah, so the home will be responsive So it's not a mobile app. When you log in, it will be responsively adapted to the mobile
The
device.
mobile phone. Okay. Not an app. Okay.
Yes. Yeah. There is an app, but I talked
different.
about it before.
Okay, just making sure I was clear on it, actually. So there's one statement there that like somebody addressed. It should be TLS certificate and not an SSL. So SSL is an obsolete protocol. Anybody want to talk about that, or?
It's just a yes. It's just an acronym.
Okay.
You're absolutely right. TLS is the way that we now talk about transport layer security, right? And so it's just a modern term versus SSL. So yes, we will be calling it TLS. That's to Elena's point. Glenn's point in our question in the chat: will syslog SIM packages be updated as well to reflect the new insights? Yes. We'll be updating the SIM packages. And Glenn, are you using Splunk? Or are you using Elastic today? Maybe you could share a little bit about that. ArcSight, got it, yeah. So you're using the ArcSight connector, or you're just grabbing syslog out of, we can take it offline, but yes, we will be updating all of the SIMs to reflect some of the new information. Now there's some things that only we can do from our cloud. And that's just simply because of the fact that we can query the data store directly, and we can do some really interesting things regarding joins. Some of the SIMs make it a little bit more difficult. We're going to do our best to try and translate as many of the things that we can do through the management console, through Universe, back to the SIMs. Not all SIMs are created equally, though, so we'll do our best. And if there's certain capabilities or things that you'd like to see more of course, we'd love that feedback, and I'm happy to take that offline with you and discuss.
Great. Quick time check. We have 2 minutes. So yeah, there's another question. Go ahead.
Yeah, another question. Will the data storage still be hard capped at 90 days? We are making some really big changes regarding data lake and data reporting. I can't say anything more right now about that other than you should see a pretty big change regarding the reporting and data storage coming up. But we'll make some pretty big announcements around that in Q1. But just know that we've been hard at work, and one of the things that we don't really talk too much about is when you think about creating a universe, you have to imagine that it's not just putting a new coat of paint on what exists. It is a complete rethink, not just of the UI UX, but all the platform components to make that a reality. And who's not on the call today, and a group that deserves loads of credit, is our overall platform and our product development team. When we embarked on this project, the key thing that I was talking to Lior about was just imagine you had to start from a blank slate, right? What would you do? And don't let the other part, which is obviously reality, physics, constrain you. And we'll find a way to make physics catch up to where you want to go. And what has basically happened is the team under the hood has iterated and is working on so many upgrades to the overall platform. You can imagine there's stuff that you saw, like a news feed that's going to be showing you alerts in real time. There's aggregation across all those different sensors. There's real-time statistics, right? There's all sorts of capabilities and components that we have, and stitching it together and making improvements and enhancements over there. There are going to be some really big things that we're going to be announcing in Q1 regarding what this new platform or the platform augmentations that we've made under the hood and what that means. And you'll see things like data retention and whatnot absolutely change. So I appreciate your enthusiasm, Glenn, and we can take it offline.
Great. Well, Eka, Lior, and Kanal, thank you so much for today's presentation. Everyone else, thank you for coming from the community. Please go take a look at a couple of other things coming up for the webinars. But guys, thank y'all so much for everything.
Thank you all. And again, huge kudos to everyone on the design team. Lior, Eka, thank you both for being here today. And of course, there are others from the team that are here as well. And this was a huge team effort, and couldn't be more proud than to work with you all and the journey that you guys have been on in just a short amount of time. And to do this during a pandemic, huge and really impressive. So thank you.
Yeah, and I got 5 months. You've only been at Imperva, so great job.
It's incredible.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank
All
you.
right.
Defying the laws of physics. That's going to be the.
We talked about that. Yeah. All right, everyone. Thank you so much for coming, and we'll see you next week at the damn roadmap call. So,
Thank you.
thank you.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
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 I always like to stay in a few minutes, just in case anybody has a question or two. Sometimes I'll get, just random questions about other webinars or just other people, so this is good. This is really good. I learned a lot.
I'm just glad to meet you. And that's it.
It's good to meet you too. If you want to do something like this in January or February about, once the release is done, then we can do the same thing if you'd like.
בכיף, you know maybe some Hebrew a little bit? No.
Zero.
Yeah.
Unfortunately not.
So cool. Yes. Okay. Have you been to Israel?
I have a couple times. Yep. Last year, I went to Tel Aviv and Rehovot. Whenever we were building the community, I just got in front of every person I possibly could to talk about community. What's the goal? And took people out to beers, and beers are always good. So
cool. So what do you say about Israel?
I love it. I mean, I stayed right there by the beach on Tel Aviv, went to Marriott both times, and just took a cab. I guess there's not really Ubers there, but so I took a cab.
Called Get.
Well, no, but yeah, I tried that, and it was kind of weird.
Well, the issue with Get is always you could be waiting for like 30 minutes to get a call.
Yeah. So just take cabs. The problem with the cab, though, is that the guy was like, okay, all I had was credit card. And he's like, yeah, we take credit cards. And I get to the airport. He goes, no credit card. And my suitcase was in the trunk. And I had to go, and look, lines were long and everything. So I had to run into the ATM and get I was so upset. I was like, man, what can I do, though? I had to go get cash. I was like, you have my stuff, And so somebody, Glenn says, just can't let go. Indeed, looking forward to seeing more. I'll be hammering out TAM soon TAM enough to get more information. Good.
Awesome. Glenn, please reach out to the TAM and let us know what we can do to help. I don't have the exact changes that are happening right now to the overall data retention and data storage. I know that I was in a call last week with the team, and we were talking about standing up some newer types of data stores under the hood so that we can deal with large amounts of storage. Specifically, we're breaking the project up into 2 chunks. Just to give you more inside baseball, if you're curious, we're breaking it up into 2 chunks. One is the real-time component. So we can basically surface and show you in real time how we're catching and we're addressing things and how we're responding. We have some pretty tight SLAs that we have in our product so that we can address things like DDoS and bot attacks and things like that. So we figured that augmentation that we're doing under the hood would be really important for you to visualize and see how we're actually responding to threats pretty quickly. And then the other part of it is how can we improve overall reporting? And that dovetails into not just new capabilities in the UI UX for reporting, but it also means that we have to do a better job at storing, collecting, aggregating that information at scale. And so there will be some changes that we make. Again, I don't know right now what that number or what that new number is going to be, but I can tell you that based on the architecture that we have, it will definitely allow us to scale more up. It's just now going to be a question of when and how we ramp customers up so we can do that. You can imagine the scale at which we're working at. The last number that I saw was we're inspecting somewhere around 1.5 trillion requests every single month. And so you can imagine the sheer amount of data storage that's required to pull that off. And we're in 44 different POPs all over the world. So aggregating, collecting all that information 1.5 trillion times every single month, storing it someplace, making sense of it, and then, of course, doing the most responsible thing we can because we have many organizations that use us globally. So we have to adhere to policies and compliance and regulatory laws. So things like GDPR. So what happens in Europe stays in Europe, right? As an example. But we want to be able to still surface some high-level KPIs without revealing anything sensitive. So there's a lot of work that we've been investing in the overall data platform. We never talk about this just because, as you can imagine, it's just inside baseball. But one of the things that you're hopefully seeing is with community webinars like this, showing you and introducing you more into how we're thinking, how the teams are working, and where eventually we want to go. So hopefully you appreciated the inside baseball, and I hope at some point we'll have some more details for you on any of those other programs and initiatives you're curious about. Was that helpful? Silence is silence.
Well, he said something, so.
I know this is early, but will features like load balancing application rules be changed or redesigned? Yeah, so to be super clear, these things are going to be redesigned in the new look and feel. We are actively looking at adding obviously new rules and predicates all the time. But for right now, that new look and feel that you saw, like that new navigation, that is going to cascade through the overall product. And so we've been building up an overall design system as well. Will licensing change because of the redesign? No, we're keeping licensing the exact same. When I started working closely with the design team, one of the key things that I heard from our overall customers was wanting to see value as soon as you log into the portal, not wanting to see lots and lots of websites, right? When you log into My or UMC today, you just typically see like your list of websites that you want to go to, and then you got to click into each one, and then you got to aggregate statistics from each one. So the first push was, how can we surface more value? And can we build, and can we start to build out an account level dashboard? And that's what Universe really represents. And if you think about what attack analytics does, it's trying to aggregate information from a lot of those different sensors. Think of this as attack analytics up to 11, and because it's going to aggregate from not just the different sensors, but the different areas of the overall product portfolio and put it all onto one page. And so, no, this doesn't change licensing at all. Quite interestingly, this will probably introduce you, based on the redesign, to more of Imperva's capabilities. So things like RASP and the overall application security portfolio, things like bot and bot management, client-side protection, and AppSec as well. This will now get you more introduced to those other things. We're not changing licensing based on the new look and feel, based on the redesign. This is our way of kind of flipping the script. And as Eka and Lior talked about, how can we reimagine the way that customers use and think of Imperva? And so that's what the redesign is meant to be.
It's always the best conversations there at the end. Last question, he promises.
Pinky swear.
I think he's done. I don't know.
Right.
Good. Guys, thanks so much. Oh, wait.
No. Will there be additional follow-up webinars to cover the evolution? Yes, of course. So I love Chris. Chris and I started working together several months ago, and I did a webinar a while ago on WAF, Cloud WAF, and building all the rules, right? Cloud WAF rules. And we were looking for newer types of content, newer types of things to do. And if you recall, and I don't know, Glenn, if you were on that webinar that I presented, but it was kind of a change of webinars where like there were no slides, we just coded. I just coded and I walked through building rules.
It was awesome.
It was just totally different, right? And I love changing and trying new things, and Chris knows that. And so when we were thinking about what we want to come back and talk about next, this is a topic that's near and dear to my heart, is design, UI, UX. And so I had reached out to the design team, and I think they're like one of the best kept secrets of the company, and they never really talk about the great work that they're doing and how they think about things. And so we wanted to start to do two things. One, expose you all to them, and then they all to you. And that bi-directional relationship is super important. So this is actually just the first part of an overall journey. If you are more curious about design, how we think, and where we're going, and if you just like to even give us ideas, I can tell you that working closely with Lior, working closely with Eka and the others, they appreciate your feedback, and they'll appreciate any and all customer feedback. If you have ideas, if you express your pain points, we're here for you. I mean, if you think about the way we're approaching product design, this is really addressing pain points. This is about changing the way that you experience Imperva. So of course we want to hear your feedback. And yes, there will be more webinars. I intend to do one probably around Q1, could be around Jan, Feb, around the early part of the new year, specifically around the way that the UI has changed. Because the overall look and feel is wildly different. I mean, the fact that we've moved from that left rail to that top nav, how we've organized the information in between there, the fact that there is a more cohesive design system that the team has built up. Again, it's going down to the individual control. Of course, we can't boil the ocean and get that done overnight. So there's a lot of things that are happening in phases. I would say by Q2, everything that you know of and that you experience in my and UMC will be completely different.
Yeah, when I think of that, I also think of potential training and think. I mean, when you change a design like that, even though it's going to be cleaner, better, and all that stuff, you still got to kind of figure out where things are. What, you know what I mean? And so maybe some tutorial webinars, not from you necessarily, but just from some of the teams to say, now we have this, and then go from A to B to C, so that, you know.
You bring up a good point, because one thing that we are doing is, for a transition period, we are going to allow people to switch back to the old one, where so they can be comfortable. I mean, now you talk about like the insane amount of work that the team has had to invest in. It's not just the fact that it's a brand new thing. We're keeping the current version as well, because some people may have workflows that they've designed, or they may have built maybe like browser automation, for all we know, around it. So we didn't want to break it. So that will be there as a transition period for people to go back and experience the old thing. But I can tell you the feedback that we've gotten already from our early design partners on it has been really incredible. And you know, the reason why it's not prime time right now is, you can imagine, we're changing everything in real time. But even internally, right, when you roll a new version out, people are like, oh, I want to switch back to the old thing. I want to switch back to the old thing. But now people are like, no, I like the new thing. The new thing is making me more efficient. It's just changing it. So yes, there'll be an adjustment period, and people will have to get used to it.
Yeah, I think, and I'll say this and we can go, but it's a lot of companies do that, right? Like they'll have that older version there for a little while, and then they'll eventually switch you over. You know, once there's been that time, kind of, hey, you got 30 more days, that's it. You know, that kind of stuff. So, well, Kunal, thanks so much. Glenn, Shamel, thank you all again for coming and asking so many great questions. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you all.
All right, bye-bye.
Yeah, see you.